Welcome back, everyone. Today on the channel, we're going to do the monthly question and answer video. Once a month on the Posts tab, my YouTube channel, I'll put out a question prompt such as this one. Down below, you can ask me anything about anything. Read each other's questions and then thumbs up the ones you want me to respond to. The cutoff for today's video was 60 thumbs up. Thank you so much to everyone who left a question or read each other's questions. As always, we got some good ones. So the top ranked question was from Caleb Bravo. How much military aid from the United States under Biden has yet to be delivered, if any, and how long until Ukraine gets it? So Biden's last security assistance package, or presidential drawdown, was on January 9th, and this has all been delivered. It was delivered over February, March, April, and I think even May. So anything that Biden specifically allocated prior to leaving office, it's already in Ukraine. Now, there is some long-term contracts that were signed, like money a year ago or 2 years ago was allocated to build something brand new. If those contracts are still good under Trump, that stuff should also still be delivered whenever it's built and ready to go. But as far as the drawdown authority, this just doesn't exist anymore because Trump doesn't want to do it. So instead, we have the Pearl Initiative. This is the Prioritize Ukraine Requirements list. How does this work? And Ukraine will state what they want or need from U.S. inventories, mostly artillery shells and air defense missiles, Gimler's rounds. The United States and NATO will approve the list. NATO allies will allocate funding, and then the United States will deliver it. And this is what we've been doing more or less for the last 2 or 3 months. Germany submitted $500 million to the Pearl Initiative. So this is money going to the United States. The United States will then deliver to Ukraine artillery or air defense missiles or Gimler's rounds. Here's Canada. Canada also chipped in $500 million. Now this is controversial for numerous reasons. But for NATO partners, they're asking themselves, should we invest in ourselves, buy our own weapons, give those weapons to Ukraine, or do we really want to give America money? And there are countries, I think, like France, who are not going to do this. They have their own domestic arms industry and they want all their money going there. But there are smaller countries like the Netherlands or Finland or the Baltics. They're all contributing to the Pearl Initiative because for them to invest in their own industrial defense production at this point, it's too late, it's too slow. Europe and NATO needs US manufacturing to win this war. So when this video goes up, it's going to go up this weekend, but Trump and Zelensky met at the White House on Friday, and I watched the entire thing. It was only like 30 or 40 minutes. And this is really just sad and depressing to watch, because Zelensky knows this is a game. Trump is going to ramble and talk about whatever he wants to talk about. He's settled 8 wars, 9 wars, 12 wars, 15 wars. Okay, Grandpa, you're the peacemaker, greatest peacemaker of all time. Zelensky is just going to sit there and take it. Listen to him ramble, listen to him complain about Democrats and whatever, because he needs the Pearl Initiative. He needs the artillery shells, he needs the air defense missiles, he needs the Gimler's rounds. So Zelensky is going to praise Trump, flatter him. He will say whatever he needs to say to make sure that these weapons, which are being sold for a profit, continue being delivered to Ukraine. This is the standstill we're in. Obviously, politically, Trump can just do whatever he wants whenever he wants. He has no problem lying or breaking his word, so perhaps something will change. But at the moment, if the Pearl Initiative holds, this is a good thing for Ukraine. They're getting the necessary weapons. Next question. Hi Jake, longtime viewer and appreciate your videos. What made you care so deeply about the war in Ukraine, half a world away, that you have dedicated your YouTube channel entirely to it? Is it principal matter for you, or are you more concerned about the broader consequences of the invasion? Keep up the good work. Greetings from Denmark. Going back 4 years ago on my YouTube channel, I had about 80,000 subscribers. And when I started this YouTube channel in 2019, I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. At the time, I was following a lot of finance and investing YouTubers, and I saw a video from Graham Stephan, how to get your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I viewed it as a personal challenge, and I just wanted to be monetized. I thought it would be pretty exciting if I was making like $30 a month or something, and it paid for a nice dinner. But I kept at it. I was posting 2 or 3 videos a week for 2 years, and I built up a decent following where I felt like I could separate from the Air Force to do YouTube full time. I wanted to separate from the Air Force anyways. I wasn't in love with my job, though I was very proud to serve and I loved my country, but the job I had was very difficult. If you want to see my old videos, they're still up. But the crazy thing is that I separated officially from the Air Force the exact same week of the invasion, February of 2022. And this is the first video I ever made on the channel talking about Russia and Ukraine. This video is embarrassing. It's from February 14th, 2022. I will link it down below, but please don't make this go viral. And I was just giving my thoughts. I'm a fan of history, and I do make a lot of mistakes in this video. I wasn't doing any research. I was just thinking stuff off the top of my head. But I did say in this video that it would be incredibly stupid for Russia to invade Ukraine because it wouldn't go well. 200,000 soldiers on the border trying to invade a nation of 40 million that wants to resist, it wouldn't go well for Russia. That was my military opinion going back 4 years ago. Why did I talk about this at all? And it's because the market was going down. At the time, I was doing like a trading challenge in my brokerage account, and I was holding, I think, call contracts on General Dynamics because everybody was talking about the war, the defense stocks were going up, and I made a video saying, I'm going to sell my contracts because I don't think Russia will invade Ukraine. It would be incredibly stupid for Russia to invade Ukraine. And that video, I made a couple more once the invasion happened. But kind of, when you're a content creator, if something gets more views than your normal stuff, you tend to talk about it more. So there was this adjustment period where I was going back and forth. I would make a video talking about Russia and Ukraine and then try and make like a finance and investing video. But these were not overlapping or relating, and my channel kind of exploded. I went from 80,000 subscribers to 160, so I doubled in size over like 3 months. That's when I told my, earlier audience, I'm sorry, I'll come back to you when this war is over. So your question of why did I care or dedicate myself to this? And I end all my videos with, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy. I've been saying this since 2022 because I was concerned for my own country. These continuous relationships between the Russians and Trump, the Russians and MAGA. I did not want to see Russia succeed. I care about democracy and human rights. I wanted Ukraine to defend itself. But mostly, I did not want Russia to succeed so that they couldn't help MAGA and Trump. That was my thinking in 2022. Didn't turn out well for us guys. Trump came back, won the election. He's now president. So really, defeating Russia and supporting Ukraine for me is more important than ever, because we have to prevent this alliance from forming between MAGA and Russia. This is what MAGA wants. This is what Russia wants. But it's the rest of NATO and the democratic world fighting to prevent this alliance from forming. And the parallels are everywhere. What happened with the rise of Putin and Russia becoming a fascist state, Donald Trump and MAGA are doing the exact same thing. What Trump and MAGA want is for all Americans, all of their supporters, to be drowning in conspiracy at all time. They want to destroy reality, destroy facts. They want everyone terrified of everything and everyone all the time so that they can declare an emergency and then get rid of the courts, get rid of Congress, have complete dictatorial power in the hands of one man, a man they want to be the leader, Donald Trump. And if you're already lost, like if you're watching me and you think I'm nuts, I can't help you. I've come to the conclusion that I can't persuade anyone with facts and reason when facts and reason weren't used to get into a position. Arguing with a Trump supporter about the insane things they believe, it's pointless at this point. RFK Jr. declaring that Tylenol causes autism. That's how insane my country has become. There's no scientific proof for this. If this were true, a scientist somewhere in the world would prove it. An Israeli scientist, an Australian scientist, a Chinese scientist. So reality is breaking down, especially in the age of social media, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence. And I'm scared for my country, scared for my democracy. I'm scared for anyone that MAGA plans to target, arrest, purge, persecute, silence. What's happening with ICE and protesters and immigrants today is exactly what Russia does. Masked goons picking people up off the street and disappearing them. So the parallels are everywhere. If you don't see them, it's because you don't want to see them. You have your own personal agenda because you've been consumed by some conspiracy. There's lots of them. Kind of like what the Russians do with their propaganda. They just put out conflicting narratives, and like a salad bar, you get to pick and choose what you want to believe. MAGA does the exact same thing. These two are following the same playbook. Russia is just 25 years ahead of the game, whereas Trump's only been doing this since 2016. So for me, I care deeply about the Ukrainian people because they're doing what's right. They're fighting for democracy. They're fighting for human rights and to have a government free of corruption, or at least as little corruption as possible. And I want Ukraine to succeed. I want to see Russia defeated so they can't help MAGA turn America into Russia, which is what a shockingly high number of Americans want, honestly. So I'm committed. I work 100 hours a week. I'm sitting at this desk 7 days, managing all my social media and posting and commenting and collaborating. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop until Russia is defeated. And then this YouTube channel will redirect to protecting my own democracy. That's my plan, because I know people always ask that question. Next question. Hi, Jake. So far, Ukraine has destroyed numerous refineries and pumping stations. However, process seems slow, with only a couple of hits a day. Why isn't Ukraine putting more pressure on Russia? Do they not have the number of drones? Does Russia have capable air defense? Is Ukraine scared for the US and EU reaction? Is Ukraine scared that Russia is going to retaliate? So the last two are not true. Ukraine doesn't fear what Russia's going to do because Russia's already trying to do their worst. Russia can make threats, but what Russia has been doing is what they think they can do to apply maximum pain and suffering on the people of Ukraine. If there was any more they can do short of nuclear weapons, they would have already done it. We had Operation Spiderweb, and a third of Russia's strategic bombers were blown up. What was Russia's response? What was their reaction? They're already doing everything they think they can do. Is Ukraine scared of US or EU reaction? No, I don't think so. I think it is a limitation of the drones, the operators, and kind of like the logistics. For the government and the military of Ukraine, they're being pulled in so many different directions. They're having to manage so many things. So for you and me sitting at home, it's clear. We need to strike more refineries. We need to strike more thermal power plants. But we're not considering all of the other operations and crises and problems that exist in a country of 40 million people when it's actively being bombed every single day. I think that's the answer, but when these Ukrainian drone swarms go out, there's dozens, sometimes hundreds, but we don't see the pictures and videos. We see a very small percentage. When these refineries or pumping stations are being struck, they're usually being struck with like a dozen drones. But you see a single fire and you think only one drone hit it, when that's not what's happening. We're just not getting good visual evidence. We only get the random civilian from their car showing a fire in the distance. But Ukraine is dramatically increasing the number of operators. I think that might be the biggest constraint. Do you have the people? Do you have the crews that you know can successfully launch and then control these things? They're doing good. I mean, I'm very impressed with some of these massive drone strikes, and we're seeing the effects, especially in Crimea today. I think going into this winter, watching Crimea, some big stuff is going to happen. Next question is from Peter. Does your YouTube data show any Russian viewers? That is a good question. So I can take you into my channel analytics and let me share a couple things with you here. So let's see here. What percentage of my views comes from subscribers? 54%. 45% are not subscribed. 9% of my audience is female, 90% is male. This is the age breakdown by viewers, but it does show me geography. So if I click on see more, 31% of my audience is American, 12% is British, 8% is Canadian, 6% is Australian, 4% is German, 3% Swedish, 3% Dutch, 2% Danish, so forth and so forth, and I do not see Russia on this list. So no, I don't have, it only shows the top 50 results. It says I can export an Excel spreadsheet to see if there's more, but no, YouTube was basically blocked in Russia. Russian authorities throttled it and you can't even stream anything anymore. And this is actually a really good thing that Russia did this, because with Trump coming back into office, all of these social media platforms are relaxing their censorship. They're letting people back onto the platform. So RT News and all of Russia's operations might have returned to YouTube, except Russia sued Google. Russia fines Google more money than there is in the entire world. So when RT News's channels were taken down, Russian courts fined Google and said every week that this blockage of our sites is still going, we're going to double the fine. And over 3.5 years, Russia is claiming that Google has to pay them this amount in compensations. This is really fortunate for us because obviously Google and YouTube is not going to pay this money. And because of that, RT News can't return to YouTube. YouTube will give banned creators a second chance after rule rollback. So people like Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes are being let back on YouTube. But RT News can't come back because Russia sued Google. But yeah, your original question, no, I don't have any Russian viewers, and I don't think this is going to change. I don't think the Russian government is going to lift their blockages. I think Russia is going to double down. Russia is going to increase censorship so that no Russian can see any social media platform that contradicts official government propaganda. Unless Russia controls it, unless Russia controls everything their citizens are saying and thinking, going forward, they're just not going to allow it. They're going to become a larger version of North Korea. Next question. How can we stop financial migration from Russia after this collapse, as we won't be around to help Russia out this time, and there will be floods of Russian people fleeing into the Baltics looking for work and a life. The 90s collapse taught us we can't let that happen again. If Russia politically destabilizes, if they have an economic collapse, it's going to get bad, probably for the people of Europe, because that's where the Russians are going to try and go. If things in Russia get bad, they're not going to flee to North Korea for a better life. They're not going to flee to Iran for a better life. They're probably not going to go to China either. So yes, I think a lot of Russians who are educated, a lot of Russians who are wealthy, they might try and find a way to get into Europe to protect themselves and their family. And it'll be up to Europe if they want to let so-and-so in. I mean, if they're like a rocket scientist or a medical doctor or something, I can see on a case-by-case basis letting people in, assuming they didn't participate in any way helping Putin's regime. But we might need another Iron Curtain. We can call it something different, but this time it's to keep the Russians in their own country. Stop these people from coming into the civilized world. Because all of these people have been hopelessly brainwashed the last 30 years. And I don't think the process of de-Putinization for the Russian people is going to go that quick. It's going to take time. The international community will support Russia. They will engage with them, mostly for nuclear arms control. We'll give you food assistance. We'll give you energy assistance. We'll give you financial assistance to whoever the new government is, as long as you surrender some of your nuclear weapons. I think when this is all over, Russia has to go down to a comparable amount to the UK and France. Like Russia can keep 300, but they can't have 6,000 nukes anymore. That's insane. Why doesn't Ukraine go after Moscow's energy infrastructure? It seems that making Moscow residents unhappy is more effective than the outlying residents. The residents of Moscow and St. Petersburg are unhappy because inflation is still double digits. Inflation in Russia has been double digits for almost 4 years. The price of housing, the price of energy now, gasoline, utility bills, food, everything in Russia is becoming unaffordable, so they're already uncomfortable. But going after power plants, I think Ukraine is in a period of normalizing this. Like they want to get everybody in the Western Alliance used to this idea of striking thermal power plants before they go big. So Ukraine has struck thermal power plants in Bryansk and Belgorod, probably also in Kursk. They're also focusing on the occupied territories. And this is a good strategy for now because this is where all the Russian soldiers are. Yes, Russians in the occupied territories as well as the border regions use civilian power to power everything. And if that power goes out, this is going to complicate and slow down things for the Russian military. So this is, I think, a good strategy for now. Focus on the thermal power plants in the border regions so that this disrupts the Russian military. But once it's permanent lights out in these regions, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe in a couple months they'll start going for thermal power plants in the core territories. Panic among Moscow's elites as Putin moves to seize tycoon's empire. There is an argument to be made, leave the residents of Moscow and St. Petersburg alone as far as kinetic attacks, because if you directly attack them, this can have a rally around the flag, rally around the leader effect. So I think focusing more on the border regions makes sense. But concerning Putin, as he gets more and more desperate for money, he's going after his own elite. He's cannibalizing his own. These are people that have been entirely loyal to Putin, but they control something that Putin wants. And he will take it for Russian military production, or he will take it to liquidate it, and then use cash to fund this war. This is, I think, what's going to ultimately bring Putin down, when the elites who have always been loyal to him start having their stuff taken away. These are the people that are going to plot the coup, not ordinary citizens. Next question is from Sebastian. Will Ukraine destroy thermal power plants near the front line, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and important cities producing stuff for the war in a concentrated effort once this winter will set in? This is a comparable question to the last one. So I want to follow up by mentioning utility disasters. The winter last year was actually kind of mild, but the year before that was really harsh. And we got so many crazy pictures and videos of pipes bursting and Russian citizens being without heat or running water. If you guys remember this sewer pipe that blew up or exploded in Moscow, this was a 150-foot geyser of feces spraying everywhere in the capital city of Russia. I'm hoping for a cold winter so we can get some more utility failures and pipes bursting. Russia is not properly maintaining anything. Russia, for 30 years, has been neglecting their civilian infrastructure because Putin was spending all of his money on the military to get his empire back. So yes, I guarantee you the residents of the core territories this winter will be severely inconvenienced, but a lot of this is due to corruption and mismanagement. Will you have a fan meetup in Ukraine for a big party when the war is over? Yes. If Putin is dead and, whoever replaces him says, we're done, we're not doing this anymore, we're going to go back to our own country and try and fix things. Yes, I will travel to Ukraine to join in the celebrations. I'm sure they'll be massive. I'm sure people will be celebrating for months in Ukraine once Russia is defeated. I do want to specify that I haven't been to Ukraine. I've been covering this war for 3.5 years, and this is a frequent question, so I'll answer it here. Why have I not gone to Ukraine? And that would be a very long trip for me to go from the west coast of America to Poland, train in, and then I'm basically vlogging. Like, I could do interviews, but I'm going to expose myself here, guys. I don't actually know what I'm doing. Now, I've gotten really good at the format that I transmit information, but I've never vlogged. I've never done field work. I've never done an in-person interview. So I have my own limitations and deficiencies. People will tell me, Jake, you need to go to Ukraine. And I respond, that's not really what I do. People like Kalen Robertson produces fantastic material, but he's been doing this for 10 years now. I don't have the skill set to just do what he does. He's really good at it. But no, I always want to challenge myself. I always want to get better. If the timing made sense, it'd be a huge commitment. I wouldn't be making update videos. Things would be happening. I want to go. I want to meet these people. I want to support them. My heart and soul is into this, guys. So I just wanted to quick address that point, but someday I will be there, and the people of Ukraine will be free, and Russia will be defeated. Hey Jake, if Russia is running out of money and everything, how can they maintain around 6,000 nuclear warheads? Isn't it astronomically expensive? Can you share with your experience some insights? Thanks for all your love and passion. Greetings from Berlin. This is funny because when I was in the Air Force, I was a missileer. So I was a nuclear missile operations officer with the land leg of the triad. This is the Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile system. And, they trained us. They told us the strengths and weaknesses of the triad. What are the strengths and weaknesses of submarines? What are the strengths and weaknesses of bombers? And they told us that one of the strengths of the land leg of the nuclear triad was it was the cheapest. It was the most affordable to maintain land-based ICBMs because bombers and submarines are so expensive. You're correct. Maintaining nuclear weapons in a nuclear triad is very expensive. There is a cost analysis here from the Congressional Budget Office saying that to maintain our nuclear enterprise for another 10 years, it's about $1 trillion. But that's what the United States spends. We pay top dollar for the very best. Russia doesn't really do that. So this is a graph showing military expenditures in 2021. This is the year before Putin invaded. The United States spending $800 billion, China spending $300 billion, and Russia only spent $65 billion. Russia spent so little because Russia's not really a rich country. The GDP of Russia is comparable to Spain. Can Spain spend $65 billion on their military? So I don't know what Russia does to keep everything so low cost. Conscripts are not really paid anything. Benefits when you get out aren't really anything. Or at least that was how it was before the war, and with sign-up bonuses and contracts, like Russia's paying a lot more for their soldiers. But I think the government, the Kremlin, dictates to the defense companies what they're going to receive. I do know that Solyov admitted this, that Russia's defense industry was all going bankrupt because they only made money on exports. They basically built stuff for loss or at cost for the government, and then these companies would make their profit selling weapons to the Middle East or India or whoever. I was told some things when I was in the Air Force, and I can share one piece of detail with you. These road mobile ICBMs in Siberia, these are the ones that take off if they want to destroy the United States. The people they post out there, they chain up. Like, these are conscripts they put at missile silos, and to keep them from running away, deserting, or not staying at their post, they chain up their own soldiers because they don't want to be there. There's some other crazy stuff that I learned in my briefings about how the Russian nuclear triad works, and there's no rules. I mean, they cut corners everywhere. So, your question, will they continue maintaining 6,000 nuclear warheads? And yes, they will. Putin would not let that number go down because that's his prestige. That's his ace in the hole, he thinks. He thinks that's the only reason, he's allowed to get away with all this. If Russia didn't have nuclear weapons, they would have had their face stomped by now. If Russia didn't have thousands of nuclear warheads pointed at the United States, then Joe Biden would have done something. So Russia maintains their nuclear arsenal as a deterrent from anyone stopping them as they try to reconstitute their empire. But Ukraine said no. Ukraine is standing up to the Russians, risking nuclear annihilation every single day. This is partly why it's so important to continue supporting Ukraine. Next question from Sebastian. Trump stopped the sanctions against Belarus for airplane parts, basically allowing spares to be sold to Russia again. Is Russia able to repair its planes now? How many of the stolen planes remain operational? And if many are still flying, are the Western maintenance guidelines too strict? Could we save money there? Concerning their military planes, I don't think Russia's going to be building any new planes until the war is over. They probably do need sanctions lifted to construct new bombers. So yeah, every time Ukraine shoots down a plane, I don't think Russia's getting it back. But concerning their civilian airliners, these are all the planes they stole from that Irish company that leased them out. This is TASS Media. This is Russian state news. This is what they said 2 weeks ago. Airline fleet may lose 339 airplanes by 2030. The current fleet of 76 airlines performing 99% of flights totals 1,135 aircraft. So Russia, at the start of the full-scale invasion, had or stole in their fleets over 1,000 planes. By 2030, they're going to keep cannibalizing them. So anytime they need a part, They just take it from one of their planes, put it on the other because they can't get proper maintenance or replacements from Boeing and Airbus. Russia was going to lose a third of these planes through, just wear and tear over the next couple years. But Trump saved them. Trump lifted sanctions on Belarus. Belarus can buy whatever they want, and if they want, they can send it to Russia. So yeah, I think Belarus will end up buying parts and whatever for a number that obviously shows they're helping Russia. Trump doesn't care. Boeing doesn't care. Last question is from Penny Lane. How has supporting Ukraine impacted your personal life and career as a well-known and well-respected content creator? Also, have you received political pushback or criticism for your viewpoint or stance? And if so, how do you handle it? Thank you, Jake. First thing I want to say and promote is everyone on social media should be blocking people. If you're on social media, any platform, you really should be blocking people every single day. This is how the algorithms learn who's nasty, who's inappropriate, whose comments should be marked as spam, or who should be downranked in the comment section. I think there's lots of people that get on social media and they experience a negative comment, a negative interaction, and they say, I just won't be on social media. I don't like the people on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, so I'm just not going to use that platform. But that is actually a missed opportunity because you could be blocking that person. So in the comment section of all of my social media, I am hiding and blocking people every single day. People who support Russia, people who are crazy, people who are spamming, and in a way it helps the algorithms know who is the troublemaker, who are the accounts that shouldn't be featured. So that's the first thing I want to say. And there's nothing wrong with this. And it actually gives me a lot of pleasure. Like when I block someone and I know it upsets them, they want to yell at me. They want to attack me. And I feel like I have this superpower when I block people. Now, I do want to say that if you try to correct me because I made a mistake, or if you want to give me fair criticism, I don't block those people. I block people who support Russia. These days, people who support Trump and get upset about my videos. And then anyone who just kind of sounds crazy or inappropriate. This is a new thing that it's like a skill people need to pick up in this new age of social media. You should be blocking people every day. Whenever you see a nasty comment, let the algorithm know that's not a good person. Their stuff shouldn't be promoted. Now, concerning my reputation, I'm currently at 650,000 subscribers. And yes, averaging like 400,000 or 500,000 views per video. There are millions of people around the world who now know who I am. When I go to the Las Vegas Strip, I do get recognized. When I go through airports, I do get recognized. So this is something that I've accepted, taking on this role as an influencer. I never had any expectations to be this big or to get this many views. Like, if I was getting 100,000 views a video, I would view myself as a success. Like, I would keep making these update videos, even if I was just getting 100,000 views. So I'm incredibly fortunate. I'm incredibly grateful. The downside of being well known is you don't know what people are going to say and do if they see you in public. This doesn't really affect me because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't go out in public very often. I work 7 days a week. I work like 100 hours a week. I am managing by myself 12 different social media platforms. I produce 3 or 4 videos a week, and they're long, 30 minutes to an hour. Those are long videos, and there's not a lot of YouTubers that can keep this pace and this quantity. On my YouTube channel in 6 years, I've made 1,200 videos. That's over 200 videos per year. But I do want to assure you guys, I still have a life. I still have friends, I still have family, I still have a girlfriend. This is a picture of me at Thanksgiving last year. This is the Red Rock Casino, and we got the Thanksgiving special. Now, I want to protect her safety. Like, I do receive scary messages and people wanting to hurt me or threaten me or kill me, both for my position on Trump and also my position on Russia. So I can't share personal videos and stories of friends or my girlfriends or anything like that because I accept the risk. I know I'm putting myself at risk talking about defeating Russia, but it's a risk that I've accepted. I do still feel safe living in America. That could change. But I can share with you some pictures. This was a picture of me and my dad at the Packers game at Allegiant Stadium. This was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago now, but my dad and I go to a Packers game every year. This year, we're going to go see the Arizona game, so it's going to be exciting. I also did take a trip to Mexico earlier this year. A friend was having her 40th birthday, and she wanted to go to, the Yucatan. I went for 3 days, and it was a great trip. I saw some old college friends, and I got to check out Chichen Itza. This is a pyramid in the Yucatan. It was very impressive. These are some college friends. They came to visit me in Vegas. The good thing about living in Las Vegas is everyone wants to come and see me. We went and saw Penn and Teller at the Rio Casino. Concerning the second part of your question, have you ever received political pushback or criticism for your viewpoint or stance? And I know that I am operating on the internet with extreme privilege, given that I'm white, male, straight, educated, American. The amount of criticism and hate that I get is just not comparable to what other content creators get. If a woman tries to talk about military topics, or if an African American or somebody with an accent, the amount of rage and hate they get from the average person on the internet, it's pretty horrible. I still get it. I get comments every single day. But it's been 6 years and nobody has made a take down, exposed Jake Bro video about me. I keep waiting for it. I keep waiting for someone who supports Russia to come for me hard and start, there's things they could do to make my life a living hell. And it hasn't happened. So I am incredibly grateful for that. But I also know that I walk through the internet with extreme privilege. My father is an architect. My mother is a speech pathologist. They both earned master's degrees. I have a master's degree. I'm from a very educated family, and I've had every opportunity in life. And as an American, I want to see everyone have opportunity. Doesn't matter your race, creed, orientation, or anything like that. In America, the playing field should be equal for everyone. And it's not. I'm just going to say this as a straight white male in America. I have been given every advantage, every opportunity, and I want to use it for good. I want to help people. I want to be a good person. I'm not trying to shut the door or pull the ladder up behind me on anyone else. I think there is enough in this world that everyone can prosper, that everyone can live in peace. I don't think that's a radical message, but these days it sometimes feels like I'm in the minority by even saying that on social media. So here's a picture of me in my old flight suits, just to share with you guys. This was about 2016 when I just joined the Air Force. So that's a picture of me in my flight suit with my Sergeant Slaughter mustache. November's coming up. Should I grow it back? Let me know down below. All right, that's all for this Q&A video. If you made it this far, you are a super fan. You're the best of the best. I love you guys the most, because I know there's a lot of people who don't check out these Q&A videos, but if you click on them, I already know how much you care about this YouTube community and how much you care about Ukraine. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your commitment. Keep going. I think we're going to have some good news going into this winter. And by that, I mean bad news for Russia. Till the next video, take care.